Why, hello everyone, Sean here, and welcome to another episode of the Hawke Talks. I wanted to cover a subject that I've covered quite frequently every year, which is EVO. EVO is something a little special to me, even to this day, just because, it was my first fighting game tournament I attended as a spectator, and, over the years have met, many great people. Or just got to know them better, and there's so much to it, to me, that makes it really special. But then last year with the pandemic, I sort of put the cap on that, and I kind of had some different feelings about that, but not relating to sort of the allegations and all the drama that was surrounding EVO itself, but that's for another time. Anyway, regardless, people could not attend EVO last year because of the pandemic. They tried to go online, and then they had to cancel it because of the situation surrounding it. But now they're back. They've made an announcement very recently, and not only that, they've had one more big announcement, and it's that Sony bought out EVO, pretty much. They're in a joint partnership for the most part, along with RTS, which is another esports company of sorts. So I guess they'll make sure they'll fine-tune things when it comes to the esports side of things, probably to make sure it really looks professional, I guess. Maybe perhaps make it look more like like an ESPN sort of event, you know what I mean, like the overlay and everything. They really want to make sure it all works out in that manner, I guess. But we'll have to wait and see for right now, because this is for the online event for right now. We're not gonna see anything like we're used to, like the offline event and such. This is still online for the most part, and right off the bat, people think, well, that could mean pretty much games like Smash, Killer Instinct are out of the picture. That's just something I definitely can see why people think that way right off the bat. But according to Markman, not really the case here. EVO is still free as it always was, in a sense that they can just have any game they want if they can make it possible. So that means Nintendo's Super Smash Bros. Is still there, potentially. Nintendo came out with a tweet of their own with a response that they will be assessing the situation surrounding EVO. You can kind of see it in two ways. One being later nerds, you know what I mean? You really don't really see Nintendo working alongside with Sony in a more direct manner, unless it's like a very special occasion. I think the closest thing we've seen, at least in recent years, is just the three CEOs, or the three big guys representing Microsoft, Sony, and of course Nintendo, with Reggie including in there, during the Game Awards. They came all together in one sort of picture, and that was like the closest thing we've gotten in recent years. Otherwise, we really have not seen sort of Nintendo and Sony kind of, working together in that sort of matter. And so it is understandable as to where people's minds went when it came to Nintendo. They're usually very solo, or very selective with their partners when it comes to sort of collaborations. That's why you don't really see Nintendo on Sony consoles or Microsoft consoles, or systems and whatnot. They've always been their own thing, and if someone is collaborating with them, they have to be sort of below them, while Nintendo kind of takes control of things in a way. But anywho, for the most part though, Smash is still in there potentially, but personally, I probably can say that just like last time, Smash is probably not going to be in there just because the online is pretty rough. Unfortunately, there's still no signs of any fixes, and I don't think there isn't going to be any fixes. And that's just the way it is with Smash. Unfortunately, that's just the nature of it. So Smash Brothers, while yes, they still have a foot at the door per se. I think just because solely they don't want to, Nintendo doesn't want to show off their sort of the lackluster online experience right now, they will probably step away from it for a bit until maybe the next Smash, or somehow the netcode can get fixed. Or this could be on EVO's side of things, where they just don't want a sort of meager or mediocre experience. So they want to fine tune it as much as possible. So they'll just keep that away for the time being until they can really get it going, because this whole online thing is still new to them. They haven't still even pulled it off just yet. So that's just how it is. So they'll just stick with the other games that they've been feeling confident with, including Guilty Gear Strive, which still has not come out yet, but the netcode side of things is really good, judging from the beta as someone who did play it myself. It's a really good game. I think it's definitely one of the premier online tournament games. I think it'll definitely be in there and make things shine, if you know what I mean. Along with Skullgirls, along with anything else with that good netcode. I don't know specifically if Skullgirls is in this EVO lineup as of now. I haven't checked it thoroughly, but I know Street Fighter is in there for sure. Mortal Kombat 11 in there for sure. The netcode is pretty solid. It is one of those games, and I think there was another fighting game in there, but we'll just leave it at that for now. Oh yeah, Tekken 7. Tekken 7 is definitely in there. Definitely better netcode than before, but I don't know if it's capable of a worldwide experience. But here's the thing. It isn't quite worldwide per se, because I believe this EVO experience will be locked by regions. So you'll have the North American region, you'll have, I'm assuming, the East Asian regions, and so on and so forth. So it's not quite worldwide per se. At least maybe most of the games. Maybe Guilty Gear Strive will be the one that will actually be, open and worldwide, and that will probably be the highlight of this EVO, just because Guilty Gear Strive's netcode has been so robust, such a solid system so far, and I hope by the time the final product comes out, that'll definitely reflect the sort of that same experience, even better, by the time EVO Online rolls around. So I think for the most part, when it comes to the other games, I think that's a pretty safe bet that going regional for right now will be the best experience for the online tournament, and that's just the gist of things. So when it comes to this whole Sony buying out EVO again, coming back to that topic sort of things, while it is still open for the most part for like all the other games that we're so used to, Smash and Killer Instinct and whatnot, I think there definitely will be some different vibes to it. Obviously, EVO has always been this very grassroots, driven by people sort of tournament, and it's always been it always had that same that sort of that arcadey sort of competitive vibe, especially for those who grew up playing in the arcade as young adults or teenagers, right? As for me, I was a little too young to sort of understand those vibes, so I did play in the arcade with fighting games, and I was a little too mashy, let's just put it that way, to sort of understand those grassroots. But those grassroots has always been a thing that kept EVO that stance for many years until maybe till now. Now that they've been bought out by a big company. So will that take away the grassroots, old school sort of vibe? It will definitely be different one way or the other, but will it be entirely different? Will it even be EVO one way or the other at all? That's for us to see once the offline events come around again. But for right now, it's online, and we'll have to take a little sample of how they'll handle the online side of things, and also will we see the policies from Sony? I remember talking about this recently on a podcast with Zawari, and he pointed out about the censorship policies that Sony had. That's been going pretty strong when it comes to the more anime stuff. So when it comes to the anime fighting games, will that go through a bunch of more of that censorship policies side of things? Rather than Street Fighter and Tekken, I think, and I don't know, maybe we'll see that sort of translate for the worse when it comes to the visual side of things, when it comes to the actual costumes and the censorship side of things. I don't know. I think it is definitely possible. We've already been seeing it even before EVO sort of comply to sort of some terms to try to be a little more friendly, because their event was being aired on TV. I believe on ESPN, so they had to sort of mold their event sort of around that. So especially during finals, I believe one of the players, Kazunoko, who picked Cammy. And this was really early on. I think this was during the first year of Street Fighter V at EVO. Kazunoko, I believe, was during one of the finalists, or top 8 finalists, and someone picked Cammy, and when Cammy had her costume, had a costume chosen, they had to go to another costume of sorts, or I think it was maybe Armika. Either way, someone had to change their outfit because of sort of the possible backlash, or just possibly will violate the policies that they had to comply to. So that's why they had to change it back. So that's the sort of the things that we'll see. There's a costume for everyone, and so if they'll have to resort to that costume, then they'll do that. But I think when it comes to the rest of things, we'll be fine. As people who just play the game, I think we'll be fine. But when it comes to EVO, that'll probably be the apparent time when, especially with the Sony policies possibly implemented in there, that'll probably be more apparent with these censorship policies. When it comes to the language side of things, I can live with that. The commentators have already been sort of gearing towards that sort of thing already. Like Yipes has already adapted to that environment, and he's still been going strong, of course, before the pandemic, of course. And then the rest of the commentators, I think, have been doing a pretty good job. Even Tasty Steve still stays entertaining, even if some things are being held back. I think people like him will still do a great job doing what they do best. So I think the language side of things is something I can definitely live with. I think the annoying part of the situation will be, the visual side of things, the costumes and the core values, right? Remember that sort of meme that came out when Joey Queller, the former member of EVO now, came out with that tweet regarding to what EVO Japan did with their EVO event, and there were some very expressive things, let's just put it that way, when it came to a segment that they'd done for DOA 6, I believe. The girls were just having So just fun, you know, they're poking fun at the nature of DOA, you know what I mean? Very, you know, fan servicey, etchy or erotic, you know what I mean? And they're like really making fun of it, and they're just laughing and stuff like that. They weren't even offended by any means. They were just giggling and having fun. And then Quayar came out, you know, like trying to counteract that with core values and all that stuff, and that was just been a meme within that community since. Even I think even when he left at this point, people still kind of bring up the core values, right? And they of course brought that back because of Sony's censorship policies that's been going on as of, you know, as of late. So I mean, who really knows of what could come across during EVO and then from this point on. I hope for I definitely hope for good things for EVO. I think for the most part it will stay EVO-ish. There are, I mean, it's inevitable that things will change. You know, for example, you know, EVO used to use arcade cabinets as a means to, you know, get the competition going. You know, people played on arcade cabinets, and I think whether it's like separate cabinets or not, because they thought consoles were not the one-to-one experience. You know, people complained about that, but then it came to a point where consoles became the new standard. And then now we've come to this point where while the consoles are the new standard, now, you know, with these online tournaments, people just complain about online not being a one-to-one experience with the offline console experiences, you know what I mean? So things like that change at some point. It's inevitable, and things will continue to change, hopefully for the better. And I believe it will be the case here. So that's just my 2 cents of things, and we'll have to wait and see how EVO will be handled this year and beyond. I think you know, it will be a good tournament experience, but you know, it just won't be exactly that same old school sort of EVO that a number of people have always looked forward to. So that's just really the nature of things. But you know, we have the Cannon brothers still working closely, so we can definitely feel a little better about that. But again, you know, hopefully the Sony vibes won't come across too badly. I think definitely though this is a good thing, because Sony's marketing power is definitely there now. So definitely Sony will definitely pump out those ads and commercials and such to more eyes, and that means EVO can get to the people more, not just gamers now. You know, probably people can more and more catch on to the EVO name, as it was pretty popular before. And, you know, it's the most sought after fighting game tournament in the world. You know what I mean? It's the Super Bowl of fighting game tournaments, even now. You know, although other tournaments aren't falling too behind nowadays, which is good. You know, competition is good within that, but it's just you know, again, the whole sort of mega corporation sort of things could possibly kind of penetrate through the old school, like, you know, very, you know, grassroots sort of bubble. You know what I mean? So, you know, we'll have to wait and see on that. But I think definitely more and more people will know about EVO, which I think is a good thing. You know, exposure is always a good thing. But that could also mean, you know, more and more news outlets will come up with some real big BS to make the community look bad. You know what I mean? That's just the nature of the media. You know what I mean? So that's always lovely. So anyway, I can go on at this point, but I think point being, Sony buying out EVO, I think for the most part will be a positive rather than being, you know, a really, you know, obnoxious negative by any means. You know, somebody painted a very, very funny analogy about You know, that scene with Wayne's World when Wayne's the whole like their Wayne's World sort of show was bought out by a, you know, a generic mega corporation, and you know what I mean, like some things start to replace the things that you knew and love about said show, you know what I mean. So that could come across some things during EVO, you know what I mean. So some things could replace it. I mean, I think we'll see a more fancy overlay, you know, or maybe the same old thing. It's just that you know that they're backed by a bigger budget, maybe, possibly, and likely. I definitely think that things will go a lot smoother. Maybe not this time, you know, the first time, right? Because, you know, this is the first time and mistakes are bound to happen. But I think the years as it goes on, it'll definitely be more of a AAA experience. Hopefully, that's the idea, anyways. That is the hope that I look forward to for EVO. But no matter what, though, they'll definitely take the safety precautions a lot more seriously, I think, which is very good. I think that's a very, very important topic to sort of keep going at this point. You know, we've met some challenges, we've met some rough patches, and hopefully those are all sort of mended at this point, but we'll have to, you know, continue to look into that. And I think, you know, definitely more and more stuff will be fine-tuned and stuff like that, a lot of experiments, blah blah blah. So alright, so at this point I'm going to be babbling and rambling on about EVO. So very interesting that Sony bought them out. I think, again, it will be for the better rather than being a negative, and I think we'll definitely see all the familiar games eventually, especially once online tournaments become the norm again. Will they be different? Some things will definitely be different, definitely. You know, there is not one little old thing that will be, you know, the same old thing, you know. So any comments, please leave them down below, and really helps out. Really appreciate it, guys. And real quick here, I will read some comments from a previous video. So funny enough, I read these comments already for another video, but that video got scrapped because of a certain situation that a certain company is dealing with right now, involving with some game leaks. So I had to delete that video, unfortunately. And I'll read these comments again from the one of the last Hot Talks videos that I put up, which was who will be the last two characters for Fighter Pass 2 of Smash Ultimate, speaking of. So here's a comment from Derek C on that video, saying, regarding to Fighter Pass 2 Smash Ultimate, saying, I'd be down for Zagreus or Zagreus, sorry for butchering the name, from Hades, you know, the main character, I'm assuming. He basically spawns / respawns with a random weapon. Each of his attacks get a random buff from a random god / goddess, and he gets a random ultimate that does different things based on whichever god / goddess is from. Then they can put like Meg, Skelly, Baldy, etc. as assistant trophies. I don't know if they'll ever do any more assist trophies per se, but definitely they'll probably put them more like the side characters on those stages. You know, kind of like what you know, recently with Pyra and Mithra being the main characters, and then you have all the characters like Morag and stuff like that, Nia on the side, you know, on the stage itself, you know, doing their thing, instead of being assist trophies, for example, here in this case. So I think Zagreus will be an appropriate pick, just because, you know, he would be a good representative of the indie side of things, along with characters like Shantae or anyone from Undertale, although that character has already been chosen as a Mii costume. But, you know, people have been sort of been satisfied with that, I guess. People got more excited about that costume than the character itself. I think that was Byleth at the time, funny enough. So that was one of the few cases where the Mii costume was more exciting than the actual playable character themselves. Funny enough, but I think a Hades character character to represent that side of things, I think will be pretty cool. I never played the game myself, but I understand that there's been a lot of love for it. It's that great gameplay with that challenge that mini gamers love. So I'll give it to them, for that. If they can include Zagreus from Hades. So next comment, we have Joyce Hayes dropping the comment that says, what if they just dropped Ko and Neo G Red from Gotcha Force Cosmos, but in her Xenosaga attire with a Xenoblade Chronicles 2 alt? Lilac with her friends from Freedom Planet, or a character from a MOBA? A character from a MOBA seems to be more likely of this situation. League of Legends, man, very big game. It's still being played by many dozens. So Nintendo can be looking at that, with those dollar signs in their eyes, because games like League of Legends, very big, still going strong. And I think this Fighter Pass 2 already been chosen by Nintendo in advance. It would make sense at this point. League of Legends character for that guest character slot that I've made the prediction of in another video, or in this case in this video, excuse me, the previous Hawk Talks video, in this case here. I think it's very, very possible to see that mobile character in there. Could be Jinx or something like that. It could be anyone from League of Legends. There's a lot of popular characters that I don't know of too much. So that's definitely a possibility up there, more than the Gotcha Force characters. And then, coming in second will be Cosmos from Xenosaga. Cosmos was a very iconic character at some point. It was that video game female character that everyone loved at some point, or a lot of people loved at some point, with her character design and her overall sort of just character. Now, not saying that she's a very colorful character in personality-wise, but given the nature of her actual status, it makes sense. And whatever happened in the story made people love her that much, to that extent. And so Cosmos will be a respectable pick from yet another JRPG. And it's at this point, it's a classic, right? She can be considered a classic character, right? She's getting close, I think, which makes me feel old to a notable degree. But anyway, Cosmos will be a pretty big pick when it comes to the JRPG side of things. Alright, so the last comment in here comes from Mecha War Sin Phoenix Master Sword. A very big mouthful when it comes to that name, but anyway, he says, or this person says, my most wanted fighter for Smash Ultimate DLC is Rillaboom. Very straightforward. It's a Pokemon. I can definitely see that, because Pokemon, again, still going strong. I predicted that a Pokemon myself in that video. I think more likely, I feel that Urshifu or any of the newer legendaries or mystic Pokemon could make it in there. It could be any of those, man. Personally, I would love to see Gengar, because there's no ghost types. I would love to see a ghost type being represented. I think that'd be really, really awesome. Gengar would be a great representative. He's my favorite Pokemon of all time still. I love that expressive grin that he always has on his face. He was pretty fun in, Pokken. Pokken was a fun time for me, because Gengar was pretty cool. So maybe they'll take some notes from there for his fighting moves. But yeah, Rillaboom will be a fair pick, because there's definitely need of a more grass type Pokemon representation. We've had some water, definitely fire, so I think it's definitely time for some more love for grass types too. I think the only grass type I can think of is just Ivysaur. Maybe there is one more, but otherwise the rest of them are in the Pokeballs, which are items that you don't really get to see in the competitive side of things. Anyway, Rillaboom will be a nice representative from Sword and Shield. Not only that, grass types, so respectable pick. So anyway, that's it for the comments. So again, if you want your comments to be read in another video, leave them down below. Go ahead and do that. And yeah, so this has been the video for the Hawke Talks when it comes to Sony buying out EVO and what does it mean for the future of EVO, pretty much. So thank you guys so much. I'll see you guys in the next video. Sean out.